In fact, much of the picture was designed around images and settings that in themselves became characters in the film. Burton wanted Gotham City to look as if hell had erupted from the sidewalks. And so here, on a carefully guarded lot at Pinewood Studios outside of London, was built a monumental essay in ugliness.
The Gotham City set cost $2 million to build, and it's the size of a small amusement park, larger even than the Main Street area of Disneyland. But that's where the comparison stops.
This view of an urban disaster area was cooked up for Burton by a graduate of London's Royal Academy of Art, Anton Furst, who created an architect's nightmare.
That was the intention, to maintain this completely bleak, miserable town and start as a background. So we were gone to sort of grey stone, brown stone, concrete. That was very much the finishes we were going for. And you can see...
We tried to imagine going back in New York 100 years and imagining how it might have developed had there been no city planning, had there been no authorities to control.
To heighten the nightmarish effect that Burton wanted, many of the buildings are based on real designs that don't mix. This boilerplate look by Japanese architect Shin Takamatsu wound up fronting Gotham City's museum. A cathedral by Spain's Antonio Gaudí was transplanted to a location off Gotham Square. And the works of American architect Louis Sullivan were mixed in along the avenues, dwarfed by massive steel footings.
When I went down there to see Gotham City when they were shooting, I started to get ideas. Tim had mentioned a little gothic, a little bit operatic.
Burton turned to composer and rock artist Danny Elfman for one of the final touches. Video cassettes of scenes for Elfman were delivered to his home studio in California, where they were synchronized with a computer as Elfman laid out the score.
Okay, I'm going to switch back and play the real thing for you.
Okay. Passenger is Vicky Vale, played by Kim Basinger.
Vicky's wondering, who is this guy? She doesn't know. She's always trying to look at his face. So he turns on the light in her eyes so she can't see. As you can see, it's a lot of fun dealing with the very legitimate and classical styles in one moment and then getting completely over the top in the next moment. It's almost like going back to an old film style. That real basic, old-fashioned style, hero, saving the day type of music. It's fun working in a theme that doesn't really have an era to it. This could have been from 1942 or something like that, just as easily.
Riding on all of this is a total investment, including the film budget and promotion and marketing costs, estimated at well over $40 million. A risk for Warner Brothers, the studio backing the film, a showcase for Burton, the former animator who is now being named by some critics as one of the young successors to the Steven Spielberg, George Lucas era. That's something he'd rather not think about.
It always makes me a bit uncomfortable because, you know, the movie's not done yet, and I just want to make sure it's good before I start going, thank you, everybody.
Regardless of how the picture does, the Batman character on his 50th anniversary is in for a long ride this summer. More than 300 officially licensed products are already flooding the market. And there is one clear winner, the man who started it all when he was only 18 years old and who's been brought back in style for the party.
You know, I've been getting calls every 20 minutes, and you're in all the magazines and all the news media. In fact, when I was riding down in Westwood the other day, and I saw this huge bat signal up on one of the billboards. So Batman has become an American icon. I'm enjoying it, absolutely.
That's quite a project, Bob. You know, quite apart from the reader vote that liquidated his sidekick, Robin.
In the comic books.
In the comic books, yes. Robin could have been included in this, couldn't it? And they didn't.
He could have been. They chose not to because they were working so hard to create a kind of dark psychological motivation for a man who would dress up in a bat suit that they thought that adding a sidekick who also wore booties and a cape was a little too much. Got in the way. Right. Maybe for a sequel.
Right. Bob, have merchandisers gone out on a limb here? Because they've got millions of dollars of merchandising.
Right. Not as much for this movie as they would for a movie where the characters aren't as well known. This is Batman's 50th anniversary, and the merchandise will sell well regardless.
So they're pretty sure that they'll make out all right.
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks, Bob.